Ah, okay. Yeah, I got it figured out now. I had the wrong feed going. So yeah, if you've been sitting there looking at my charts, I was just singing some Lou Rawls the whole time. I'll reiterate what I was just talking about. Hold on a second. You should be able to hear me now. All right. I just can't. I don't know how to get my face on now. What's something's not working? Yeah. Oh, I think I got it now. Hold on a second. Well, that took long. Well, that took long enough, huh? I don't know if it's still working. You guys see me? You should be able to see and hear me now. All right, you got me? Chickadee check. Yeah. I don't know. Only one microphone's working. It doesn't make any sense. You guys hear me now? I got another microphone on. Should be able to hear me now. No, the camera microphone isn't picking up. Anyway, this is a rudiment. I just put together a patch here, but this is not the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be face, camera, audio, screen over here. Whatever. Well, that just sucked the life out of me. Nothing like some weird glitch in the matrix. But hey, listen, there's not much going on right now, so I'll continue with the conversation that you couldn't hear before. What I was saying was I just want to give a congratulatory golf clap to a lot of my new members, and because they're doing what my dream is, make that money to pay for your subscription as soon as you get in the door. Because whether you join for a month, and I just got some feedback from two people that they've made close to their yearly subscription already within the first 2 days of being here, and that's awesome. I'm happy to help, and that's why we're doing this. And living vicariously through my members is more or less what I do. I trade. I don't trade to the extent where I'm putting on massive size and I'm in hundreds of positions like I used to be. Just try to keep the energy levels up. I know where the money's going, and but I can't be in all these trades at the same time. I've actually hired my son to try to help me. I got this other guy, Dave, trying to help me. The idea is that I want to make sure you guys know what you're doing, and then I put you in front of the opportunities. So you take the education and the preparedness meets the opportunity, and you create your own success or your own luck. And that's kind of where we're at. Hey, can I get a what's up in the chat room on YouTube? Let me see if you're saying hello. Next time country music. Can you hear me now? Nick Donaldson, can you hear me? Joaquin. I don't know if any of this. I don't even know if I'm here right now. Am I here? I have no idea. It's just like every other day. I'll just keep talking into air. Hopefully, someone's paying attention. Oh my God. All right, you guys hear me on the main mothership? Hit the bid, right? You guys hear me? All right, good. As long as you guys hear me, all right, good. You guys see me on YouTube? Can you see my face? All right, I don't know if anybody else is watching, but hello if you are. So what we were talking about was this amazing market that we're in, where we just keep finding new opportunity after new opportunity after new opportunity, and once you understand how important these chart patterns are that I talk about, Andy Dufresne and Kardashian bottoms, and of course the faux show bro VWAP break, and of course the earnings reversals, which are the trade that you may have heard me say, this trade hasn't failed. This trade hasn't failed. Well, first I'll give you the big number. Since I would say 2013, so basically 12 years, we've been doing this really specific trade. The earnings reversal trade has been a trade that's served me well since I started learning how to trade. A reversal trade is basically when a stock reports earnings and it's green or red, and it reverses. And it's a visceral moment for the trade. It's a visceral moment for the market. It's a visceral moment for the stock. Nobody wants to see their stock that's gapped up on good earnings rolling over and going down. People are going to dump it. And also the shorts, let's say you were betting against the company or you like a company and you see it gap down on earnings, the shorts certainly don't want to see it going from red to green, because that's a visceral moment and they're going to cover. But that trade, that description, that trade alone works really, really well. And you're seeing it on UAL this morning, and hope you guys traded it this morning. Pre-market trade was phenomenal, red to green. And the reason that this trade works so well, and now why I use this exclusively, is that this trade's been working forever. By the way, Q's new highs, we're expecting 562.50 on this next leg up. The reason this trade works so well, right, is just like I described. If you walked in and you bet on a stock, and let's just call it betting, that's what it is. You're betting that the stock's going to report good earnings, and you won the bet. What are you going to do? You're going to cash out, right? That cashing out is a seller, right? You're selling it, so your stock will fade. If you walked in and you were looking for a reason to buy a stock, and it was gapped down on earnings and then starts to rally, now you got a chance to buy that stock you wanted to buy at a cheaper price. That trade, like I said, has been working for 30 years. Now you're getting a head start on the reversal by using just these two lines on your chart, blue line and an orange line. So if a stock is gapped down on earnings and it starts to rally back and it gets over the VWAP, more often than not, you're going to go test prior day VWAP. And then if you get over prior day VWAP and your stock is still gapped down, almost 80% of the time, you're going to go higher. Then if you get through the 1 minute, this is what we call the 1 minute multi-day. Where's my Raging Bull fans? Remember the song? 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. So the reversal part is quite often the best part of the trade, because you're going from red to green, and that triggers buyers and shorts to cover. You're getting a head start on that trade down here at 87. And this trade setup has been working close to 80% since 2012, back tested it. But since COVID, which was that 4 years ago, we're talking about 98% of the time. And over the last 3 years, specifically, not one trade has failed. Let that sink in. What the hell are you talking about, Kenny? Nothing works every time. This works every time. That's impossible. I know. It sounds impossible, but it's going on. It'll be close to 4 years in October. Not one loss. And now, let me elaborate. When I say this trade works, right? Sometimes it works, but that becomes past tense in the same day and becomes another trade. UAL. So let's walk through the anatomy of this trade. And before we jump any further, what I'm doing right now for you live, and I don't know if I'm live on YouTube or anywhere else right now. I have no idea. Hopefully somebody's paying attention to what I'm saying. Hello, if you are. So what I'm doing right here on August 16th, I'm going to do you guys all a big favor. Especially, this is a members only thing, right? I don't want to go any further until you truly understand the anatomy of this amazing trade that works every time. Why am I buying it? Where am I buying it? What to expect? And what do I do if it doesn't work? That's all you need to know. You need to, why am I buying it? Where am I buying it? Where do I expect it to go? And what if I do? What do I do if it doesn't work? That's it. So on August 16th, let's call it 12 o'clock, I'm going to gather us together on a Saturday because I love this shit so much. I'm going to gather you guys together on a Saturday. Yeah, you better take a Saturday off, right? 2 hours, 2.5 hours tops. And we're going to go over all the trades that we've done over the last couple of weeks, all the faux show bros, all the dip and rips, the rips and rolls, how to read this easiest chart setup in the ever, the 1 minute in the multi-day VWAP reversal. And we'll go over it. And we'll go over it, and it'll be a good time where you guys get to ask me questions. And again, everybody always likes to see what one of their stocks is doing on my chart, and I'll show you how this trade setup transcends all trades, right? And by the way, there is a live trade on right now. The UAL is a short, and the GE is a short, and the Qs we might be getting stopped out because you didn't get the 62.50. I might lighten up, but I'm really not in any rush to sell the Qs. So let's walk through this trade. So UAL, why are we interested? They reported earnings, right? Great. For a second, what you should remember is, what did Delta Airlines do last week? Massive up move, right? So my idea this morning, when I walked in, I saw UAL was red. My first thought was, nah, this is not going to stay red. First of all, because we're in a bull market, nothing goes down. Second of all, Delta Airlines had an amazing run. You're telling me UAL is not doing well as well? So that's my idea, my inkling, right? My notion or my idea, whatever. Then I say, okay, VWAP, prove me right. I already got a 1 minute, and now I got a multi-day VWAP break. That's all the proof I need. I'm in. That's it. I hate to make it sound so simple, but that's it. Earnings report, gap down. You get over the 1 minute, you should be buying already. There's the little faux show. And again, this was at 4 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't around, but I was around at 8 o'clock. I saw the fake out, shake out, the VWAP break, and the consolidation at prior day VWAP, and then it lifted off, and then it came back, and that's where I bought. Because now I can identify my risk. So if I'm buying in this little move right here, I know, okay, if this breaks down back under the orange, I'm going to have to sell some. And if it breaks that pivot point, I'm going to have to sell some more. And then if it breaks the VWAP, I'm going to have to admit that this is not working out, and then you sell the rest. Everything I do is in stages of threes generally, right? So that's your risk. Now my reward, obviously if you're buying something, your reward is unlimited, right? Or what I like to do is I go back and I check where the stock was a couple of days ago. The stock was just 93.72 a couple of days ago. All right, let's factor that in. Stocks like to retrace back to prior areas when momentum kicks in. Cool. Let's go back to the 1 minute chart. 1 minute multi-day VWAP, right? Now remember, the reversal part is at 88.47. We're already in the stock at 87.90. It hasn't even gone red yet. As we say, we just got to space. We haven't even gone to outer space yet. By the way, if you're short GE, yes, kill it. Sorry. Some of these guys are short GE. I'm rooting for you, baby. I'll get to the GE trade in a second. Let me just take you casually through this trade because it's important to learn, and I'll show you why GEs are short right now. It's the same exact trade as the UAL. And by the way, I hope you guys cashed out of your S-bets and your Trons. We've done very well. We're getting back to liquidity right now. No more Tron, no more S-bet. All we got on the books right now is S-RAD, Palantir, Qs. So let me get through this whole thought process, right? So you haven't gone to the point where that visceral moment, as I explained. The shorts don't want to see the stock that's red go green. And that's at 88.47, yesterday's close. If you're below yesterday's close, you're red. Above yesterday's close, you're green. You're down. So you got the 1 minute multi-day VWAP trade happening underneath. You haven't even gone green yet. So when it went green, what I have discovered by doing this trade since 1996, if the stock is down 3, you generally make back half of that. And if you get past the half, you make it all back, Jerry. Jerry, all back. Right? And by the way, if you're short UAL right now, cover, because you just got to the prior day VWAP. Now, the reversal players are, and again, let me just walk you through the story a little bit faster so I can show you what's happening right now. So the idea was we're long, and we haven't even got to the reversal. So the reversal happened at 88.40. And because the stock was down about, 2.5 points, I was expecting to make about $1.25. So what happened? At $90, we're thinking, chick-ching, cash out, right? We're out. And then the stock keeps popping. We sold some at 91. Next thing you know, where's it? Woo, come on. 92. And the way that we trade and the way that I teach people how to trade is you sell at big, fat, whole numbers. So if you're in a $90 stock, you're not expecting to make 20 cents on the trade. You're expecting to make $2.50. In this case, stock was down about 3. You're expecting to make at least $1.50, if not 3 points. Rippage. Absolute rippage, right? And the lack of liquidity in the pre-market lends to the parabolic move because there's not a lot of liquidity. So if there's only buying with a lack of liquidity, you're going to go parabolic, and we got it. Now, I wish I would have said, hey, I bought it all here and sold it all there. No, nobody does that. And if they're telling you they do that, they're lying. Nobody's that good. And the way to stay in these trades is you sell a little bit on the way up, and until it breaks back down under prices from where you sold, like right around here, you hang in there. And by this point, when it broke back under 91, done. And then the market opens. Wham! And you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, I really wish I would have owned this. Okay, well, it's over now. The stock's already rallied from 87 to 94.50. So what I suggest to my players is, hey, why not now wait for the profit taking to kick in? Because the stock is obviously no longer gap down. And by the way, before we go any further, I wish I had my old music box with me. This trade is so significant that we actually have a song that goes along with it. And right now it's happening on the downside. And if you're short UAL, you got to cover some here. But now that it broke down, this is where we were buying it 2 hours ago. This is massively significant right now. So you're hoping now you get another whoosh down, because it can be Jerry all back and all the way down to 88.29 now, where it broke out from, flirting with it going back into the red. But before we go any further, it's sung in the tune of 10 Little Indians. You guys know that tune? Dun, 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 dun. So it's the 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. The only trade you ever have to take. One more time. 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. The only trade you ever have to take, boom, boom. That's the song. And you'll never forget it now. And you should only take this trade. If you're struggling with trading, if you're inconsistent, how about you take a trade that, when it shows up, works every time? And now let me elaborate when I say worked. Ain't no doubt this trade worked, right? But if you didn't sell it on the way up and then use proper stops on the way back down, you took a winning trade and gave it all back. Why would you do that? You wouldn't. And I won't allow it to happen. VWAP won't allow it to happen. That's why if you get a 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal on the upside and you missed it, you got to come in and say, all right, maybe those profit takers show up that just got in at 87 and they want to take some profit. Yes. So now join the profit taking and short the fucker right here. And just like any other faux show bro, this is now the opposite trade. So now you've gone from being long and loving it to short and crushing it, right? And let me show you why this was a short. Little downtrend. And now I want to show you the coolest trick that I've ever seen, because most people don't see the charts short. Everybody's blinded by the bull, right? So take a minus sign and put UAL there. Boof. What do you see now, Holmes? Fake out, shake out, breakout. Fake out, shake out, breakout. Wouldn't you be buying this stock? Right? So just flip it over now. Now go back to reality. So we went from being long, yeah, all right, the stock's going to 1,000, to, oh, let's get the hell out of this thing and join the short side. And you got paid, right? But then look what happened. And this is why this is the greatest trading market ever. You're able to go long and light it up, go short, winning, and then understanding that you just witnessed a fake out, shake out moment. At this point, you're thinking it's going back to the orange line, but then it pivoted. And you say, oh, wait, I better get the hell out of this short because it just faux showed, and you possibly could have went long right there. We weren't that savvy, but we did cover the short. But then it went over the VWAP, but it never broke back above where it broke down from. And we addressed that moment. And in that moment, you had even less risk because now it's breaking back below the VWAP, shorted, right at that price, 97.23. You got a double top right there at 92.81, and you've got the 93.08 from where it broke down before. The levels that meant something to you 2 hours ago now are even more important on the next setup. And in the same day, and again, this is just one trade. This is just one stock in one day. We've had 4 different trades on this one name. And we've also had 17 other opportunities. And I'm not even going to have time to go through them. And that's why I joined the room. Because me going over this one trade, you wouldn't believe how many trades we had on today that worked. And it's almost hard to believe. And I live it. And I live it every day. And it's starting to become bewildering. And I watch my own videos on TikTok and YouTube. I'm like, I wouldn't believe me. Nothing could be this successful and straightforward. But it is. And that's the part that actually makes it harder to trade, because you can't believe it's going to work every time. But then it does. And I talk about how if I was a football coach, I would fake the punt every damn time. I would never kick the ball. I would fake the field goal every time and fake the punt every time. And if I could fake a kickoff, I'd fake the kickoff. Because the other coach is like, oh, this guy, he fakes the punt a lot. He's not going to fake it again. Oh, he faked it again. Oh, he's not going to fake the punt. Oh, he faked the punt again. God damn this guy. He's not going to fake it. Oh, he faked it again. That's this trade. You can't believe it keeps working. It's 3 years later now. We haven't had a trade with that setup that hasn't provided a winning trade. And let me elaborate again. That doesn't mean you're staying long from 9:30 to 4 o'clock. That trade doesn't exist. There's always a reason to get out of a trade during the day. It's very rare where you're buying something at 9:30 and you got no reason to get out till 4 o'clock. It's virtually, you never see that. You see more often making money on the upside and then crush it on the downside. So let's talk about GE. How you doing? Right? Looks kind of similar, right? Stocks gapped up on earnings, right? What's our default? Gapped up on earnings, waiting for it to break VWAP. Okay. Gapped up on earnings, waiting for it to break VWAP. There it is. And then it breaks the 9:30 candle. Guys, remember this trade? It only happened 2 hours ago. We were shorting the... Killing it. 1 minute, multi-day, VWAP, reversal. I heard this trade works every time. 1 minute, multi-day, VWAP, reversal. 1 minute, multi-day, VWAP, reversal. Now again, what did it become? It became a faux show, bro, inevitably, but that's why when you're shorting something at 268, at 267.50, you're taking something off the table. At 265, you're taking a little bit more off the table. At 262.50, you're taking a little bit more off the table. And down here at 260, you're thinking, holy shit, this is the greatest ever. And next thing you know, you're running for cover at 262.50, but that was cool. And then what happens? Oh, Kenny, I'm too scared to trade the open. Okay. Well, now that it ripped all the shorts' heads off that don't know what they're doing, because if you got short at 268 and you let this stock drop 8 and rip 11 in your face, you're a maniac, right? You cover on the way down, you get stopped out of what you got left, and then you're in the driver's seat. Or maybe you are a little afraid to trade the open. Oh, it's so fast. Okay. Well, then readdress what? Oh, I really wish I would have shorted GE. Well, here it is at the price that you wish you shorted it at. What are you going to do about it? How about a head and shoulder pattern, roll over, breaks VWAP again? Do it. Do it. So there it is. So you were dying to get short before. Now it presents itself and says, here's another chance with limited risk. Do it, right? So why are you doing it? How about a 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal? I heard this trade works every time. There it is. 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. And in this case, let's say you're shorting the VWAP, the shoulders and the head are your outs. And again, you ain't trading a $270 stock without at least $250 of risk. Standard, right? You're risking at least $250 here, $4 there. Big stock, but your reward is you're thinking a retrace to the bottom of the day. So here you're risking about 4 to hopefully make about 7 or 8. And voila! Right? Now look what it did. Little faux show bro gets back to the VWAP, and then what happens again? The same type of setup where it breaks the VWAP, but it can't do it. How about you short it again? 264, and now you're losing even less risk because this peak right there is your out. And that last peak is your out. You're not going to let it go all the way down here, up there. So again, address what you're seeing. VWAP break, short it. Prior candle high is your out. Stock rolls over, you get paid again. All right, so everything's working now. Okay. 12 o'clock. Okay, so now I'm so backwards. Man, you'd think I would know how to use the internet at this point, right? Man. So I had the chat room scroll to the opposite side. That's why I haven't seen anything moving. I'm like, well, am I here by myself? Okay. Or at least we're not here by ourselves. All right. So now let's talk turkey. You guys kicked ass in this S-bet with me, right? And today I was looking for a little blow-off top action. Now, sadly, we couldn't short the stock because it was unshortable and they couldn't even get a borrow. So some of us bought some puts, made some money. Now, this stock, for an $8 stock, sorry, $12 stock that ripped to 43 bucks, breaking 37, I thought this thing would be at 20 bucks today. Okay. it's hanging in there. So I'm still stalking this, as long as it doesn't break a low. And now I'm going to show you something cool. 1 minute multi-days right there. What I like to do is I like to get an overall picture of 5 days worth of data. So I have it built to just give me as many days as I want. So I go 1 day, 2 days. So the 2 days telling me that there's support right there at 32.74. I look at the 3 day, it's telling me 31.17. I go to the 4 day, it's telling me 29.47. I go to 5 days. 5 days is usually the day traders, basically where most stocks are going to live within those 5 days. So now I know if it does roll over, you could be going back to those levels. But right now, it's still consolidating above. It's below the 2. Below the 1, but still above the 2. So I'm still mildly bullish the stock until it breaks down. And now I just go back into stalking mode. I got to stalk this trade. It's treated us really, really well. No doubt. Got to keep an eye on this one pretty much forever. Let me give you a couple other names that we watched today. Lucid, thank you very much. And again, this is one of those perfect trades that you don't get anything better. Now, again, and I don't want to insult anybody, but I will. If you're on the internet, right, as much as we are generally, what do you see, right? I'm on every damn list. I get hundreds of spam emails a day. I guarantee you, I will be 20% of my emails today will be about some Discord room or some other service that alerted their members to the Lucid before this trade happened. It's utter bullshit, right? Because the news came out of nowhere and the stock exploded. Unless you knew the news beforehand, which, again, some people did, obviously, but the running bullshit of this industry is somebody always knew beforehand, right? You don't have to, right? Because we got the alert when it broke VWAP, right? So we weren't in from 2. But buying it at 260 or 270, the stock still wound up going to 370. How you doing? You don't need to be the first one in, right? VWAP break. Hey, Lucid, we know about this stock. Somebody was actually talking about it last week. So somebody might have known something because somebody was talking about buying this thing at 190 last week, coincidentally. But follow me on this one, right? Ooh, Kenny, I wish I was in this one with you. Okay, cool. Give it a break. Give it a moment. Maybe it sets up a new buy. Because what goes up parabolic, quite often, momentum on the way down is equal. And then what do you get? You got yourself a fake out, shake out, VWAP break. Buy it. 311. We got paid. We got stopped out because we don't let stocks break back below the VWAP without getting out of the rest, but we got paid. And then what happened? Oh, Kenny, man, I don't want to trade pre-market. Okay. Wait for it. And then I said, which was funny because I said, hey, listen, if it breaks down and it tests the orange line and holds, that's a classic faux show, bro. Prior day VWAP hold because the market's rigged. And if you see that, buy it when it starts to go back up using the pre-mark, the post, the multi-day VWAP and the low of your day. So risk identified, we're buying it again at 294, half a stop at 286, 100% stop at 283 because you never let stocks break the low of the day with you still in it. Hope you're taking notes. And then look at this monster. We getting paid. And guess what, kids? Some of us are still in this because why? The last stop is the VWAP. It tested it, but it held. So some of our players are still in this. And what are we expecting? So now the if-then statement is if 312 breaks, and again, now I would use right under 312. So it's basically 311, really, 310. So the if-then statement, again, remember, how do you make money trading an algorithmic market? You have to trade like an algorithm. It's all if-then. So if the stock breaks down, sell the rest. If it consolidates here and starts to rally, it's going to go back to test those highs. And if this stock breaks these highs, that will be a new high for the day, and that's when you start looking for them to retrace back to the 350 and the 370. I'm still digging this Lucid trade. And, again, as long as it's above VWAP, past 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, these are the ones that you'll kind of expect to make that move into the aftermarket, and then it could get really exciting. So Lucid, one of those. And then you had the Open, which has now been a dud, because we've been waiting for a reason to buy it since the pre-market action, and it's just been dying. And this one stinks because it hasn't really given us a real reason to buy it, but it's flirting with that reason right now. But because it's so close to prior day VWAP down there, I wanted to see if it got there. You got to today's prior day VWAP and you're battling it out. It's just you got no enthusiasm on the upside so far. That'll all change. That's why I'm still stalking the stock, because see where it broke down from? It just flirted with that price. I don't mind buying the stock at 168. I'd rather buy it on the turn and then use those levels as my out. So I'm kind of stalking that for a new buy. What else did we trade? And none of the Chinese stocks, the Qs. I gave you guys Mountain. Remember this one? Let me explain why we love this stock. But really, why do we love this stock? Say it with me. Ryan Reynolds. I don't want to hear it. You love Ryan Reynolds. I love Ryan Reynolds. Who doesn't love Ryan Reynolds? He's involved in the IPO. As soon as I heard Ryan Reynolds was involved, I bought the IPO, and we did very well with it. And then it rolled over and died, and we got out on the way down. But then it faux show broed the other day. Broke the IPO low, and then it came right back. Ooh, Ryan Reynolds is back. And then it flirted with that break price. A little faux show bro again. Then, and again, like I said, you don't got to be the first one into any of these trades, as long as you know where it's going. Yesterday, you just came out of a mini Andy Dufresne and broke the monthly high. And it broke $25. What does 25 get you? What's 25 get you? What does 25 get you? Exactly, $27.50. So the target today was $27.50. So now that it's above $27.50, what's the high print right there? $28.48. When the stock breaks $28.48, take a wild guess where it's going. And I'll say when, not if. When, because we're in a bull market and everything's going up. When it breaks 28. And why that price? Because that's the high print of that candle, $28.48. And then you're in the IPO high candle. And just like ASTS, when I told it to you yesterday or the day before, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care. Oh, I wish I would have bought the dip. You didn't. You had your chance. But don't not buy it when it breaks all-time highs, because it's going to go to 57.50. Why? Because stocks that break 55 go to 57.50. And that's the way the market's built. And the more you appreciate market mechanics and VWAP and just pattern recognition, there is nothing left in trading that you need to know now. And then you just rinse and repeat. Join the website. Come and hear me talk for 4 or 5 hours a day. Meet my gay partner, Solid Jello. And I say that affectionately. We're also furries, if that floats your boat. We're into that stuff, I don't know about Salad, but what? I've dressed it up as a kitten every once in a while. What? All right, we're getting into a whole different conversation. That's what happens at 1 o'clock when I'm drinking too much coffee and put on 87 trades. Kind of freaking lunatic. I'm a freaking lunatic right now. I haven't stopped talking in like 2 weeks. So that's where we're at. So let me round it all up again while we got 2 minutes here. Pencil in August 16th. Join the website. I'll give you the script. I'll teach you everything there is to know about trading. And there is nobody that knows more about this than I do, because I built it. I built half the stuff that we use today back in the 90s. Why do I know about stop hunting programs? Because I know a guy that built one. I know they exist. These algorithms that were put into use. This all started in 1987, my friends. And it's been building and building to this day. 1987, the crash that happened was because an algorithm was put into use and it went haywire. That's the real story. The flash crashes, same thing. Algorithms went a little haywire. And as they've been tweaking and screwing with the market, obviously that's why they took fractions away and went to decimalization, right? To make the high frequency trading easier, because it's easier to trade in 001s and eighths and quarters and halves. Everything that has happened over the last 30 years has led us to this moment. We have a trade that works almost every time. We have a VWAP that tells us if we're right or wrong and validates our ideas. And price action that still works from the 1950s with the half numbers and the whole numbers built on the old matrix of options and big fat whole numbers and half numbers and the increments. And then nobody knows more about trading than I do. Again, I should know a little bit about this considering I've been sitting there for 30 years doing this. And this wasn't even my first love, right? I was in the TV industry. And then it went horribly wrong. And that's why my goal, and I hope you help me along this one goal that I do have, I'd like to dethrone Cramer. I want that job. I want to have an hour-long program and talk about trading in the middle of the day and show people some trades and talk about VWAP and market manipulation and just have a show called The Realities of Trading. My name is Kenny Glick. All right. I will see you tomorrow briefly, because I'm actually going to enjoy the fruits of my labor tomorrow. I'm taking off early probably. If it's nice out, I'm going to play pickleball with Big Al. I'll see if he's got any new portfolio holdings. I gave you the Big Al pick last month, and it went up 100%. He bought Sophie. If you don't know, my dad, I'm a pretty good trader. My dad is a killer. My dad hasn't taken a loss on a trade since 2002 on a Texas Instrument trade, and he vowed never to take a trade. My father has not lost in a trade in over 20 years because he's a long-term guy. And he doesn't mind dollar cost averaging on stocks that he likes. And if you haven't noticed, the market continues to go up and he buys market stocks. So it's kind of hard to lose. Patience and money. It's a hard combination. It's nice hanging out with you. What's up, Raging Bull? I'll see you guys August 16th. Pencil that stuff in. I'll be doing this show with you guys Monday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, guaranteed. Tuesdays, I'm doing a couple other things. I'm probably going to stop doing that. I'll just join you here. We got a lot of great things happening. You know, the algo's in the works, the alerts, and of course, you guys haven't even met Solid Jello yet. And all that stuff that I just demonstrated to you, he's built a system that basically spits it all out on the chart. And that's the only thing I can offer as part of what we do. He's his own entity, but come and meet him. And what it is, he's a shining beacon of hope to all you guys out there that are struggling. Because Solid Jello he was putting kitchens in, contractor, and we both fell in love with VWAP. He had a knack for some programming, and he's taken what I showed him and what Zach and Brian Shannon have taught us and has created another. It's just a fascinating watch. And when he does show up, it's just an added bonus to what we do. All right. Cheers. I'll see you tomorrow and hopefully on August 16th. And right before August 16th, I might even do something extra for you. I'll let you know. All right. Good hanging out.